Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a concept that might actually change the way you work, lead, and, well, frankly, survive in our hyper-connected modern worlds. We're diving deep into how a 2,000-year-old philosophy, Stoicism, can serve as your ultimate battle-tested toolkit for navigating today's incredibly unpredictable professional landscape. So, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by endless emails, shifting market demands, or just general organizational chaos, you are in the exact right place. Let's get started.
Right off the bat, let's draw a direct line between the past and the present. Over on the left side, we've got the literal life-or-death survival stakes of ancient times. We're talking total war, global plagues, the whole shebang. On the right side, we have the intense, high-pressure stakes of the modern boardroom. Sudden market crashes, sweeping layoffs, and chronic burnout. Now, what's really fascinating here is that while the specific threats have completely changed, our human nervous system really hasn't. That adrenaline spike you get when a major client suddenly pulls out, it is biologically identical to the spike an ancient general felt when the enemy breached the city walls.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the Emperor's Heavy Crown, Managing an Empire in Chaos.
Okay, let's establish the sheer, unimaginable pressure faced by Marcus Aurelius. He was the Roman emperor from 161 to 180 AD. Just take a look at this timeline. He wasn't sitting in some quiet, air-conditioned classroom theorizing about stress management. His tenure as the ultimate ancient CEO was defined by overlapping, catastrophic crises. In 161 AD, the Parthian War breaks out. Then, just 4 years later, the Antonine plague strikes Rome. This was a devastating pandemic that absolutely decimated the population. And then, a year after that, Germanic tribes shatter the northern frontier. These weren't isolated incidents. They were concurrent, ongoing nightmares threatening the very existence of his empire. Talk about a rough quarter, right?
Yet, despite this relentless external devastation, he didn't crumble. He recorded his private thoughts and strategies in a diary we now call Meditations. And get this, a lot of it was written at night in a freezing war tent. That brings us to a quote that is the absolute bedrock of our explainer today. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The absolutely crucial point here is that Marcus Aurelius realized very early on that trying to control the uncontrollable was a losing game. His only chance at survival and at effective leadership was maintaining complete internal control and resilience.
Moving on to Section 2, Ancient Crises, Modern Parallels, translating antiquity to the boardroom.
So you might be asking yourself, why does a dead emperor's diary matter to me when I'm staring down a brutal quarterly review or trying to manage a deeply burnt-out team? Well, here we are translating the invading armies and rampant diseases of antiquity directly into the economic downturns, sudden supply chain failures, and massive corporate restructuring of today. It brilliantly illustrates that yes, the context is very different, but the core challenge of leadership is exactly the same, keeping a clear, level head when the sky appears to be falling. Because the underlying truth here is incredibly simple. The human reaction to chaos is timeless. Panic, anxiety, the overwhelming urge to make rash decisions, these are basically factory settings for the human brain under threat. But because Marcus Aurelius dealt with stress and chaos at a massive macro-level scale, his strategies are perfectly battle-tested for our daily, micro-level professional hurdles. Think about it. If his mindset could handle a plague and a barbarian invasion simultaneously, it can absolutely handle your inbox after a long holiday weekend.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Stoic Leader's Playbook, Defining the Core Strategy.
Let's clearly define what we're actually talking about here. Stoic leadership is the practice of focusing energy solely on what can be controlled, while accepting what cannot, to maintain clarity during a crisis. Now, it's really important to note, this is not about suppressing your emotions or acting like a robot. The fundamental mechanism we have to distill from his teachings is the ruthless, unapologetic separation of actionable power from external noise. It's basically an efficiency hack for your mental energy.
Now, this concept right here, the dichotomy of control, is arguably the most important framework in our entire explainer. On the left, we have what is actually in our control, our effort, our immediate reactions, our personal decisions. On the right, we have what is absolutely 100% not in our control. Macroeconomic market shifts, what our competitors are doing, or, as we've all unfortunately learned recently, global pandemics. Categorizing our business challenges into these two specific columns immediately stops us from wasting precious cognitive energy on the uncontrollable right side. That way we can double down on the highly actionable left side.
All right, let's get into Section 4, Mastering Modern Chaos, the Daily Practice at Your Desk.
I absolutely love this framework because it makes a lofty philosophy intensely practical. Let's look at some modern stressors on the board. Supply chain delay, the uncontrollable element is the global logistics failure. I mean, you can't personally fix a jammed port in another country, right? But the controllable Stoic response, finding alternative local vendors. Market crash, you definitely can't fix economic volatility, but you can control adjusting your internal budgets today. Leadership burnout, you can't control the sheer volume of incoming demands, but you absolutely can control setting strict daily boundaries for yourself. When we quantify modern professional stressors like this, we instantly apply the Stoic framework to reclaim our agency. You literally move from being a victim of circumstance to being an active, empowered problem solver. So how do we actually make this a habit? Well, here is your 3-step Stoic response plan. Step 1. Pause. When a crisis hits, do not react immediately. Just stop. Assess the stressor objectively, actively stripping away the emotion. Step 2. Categorize it. Run it right through that left column, right column filter. Is this controllable or is it uncontrollable? And step 3. Execute strategic action only on the controllable elements. Just ignore the rest. By actively following this step-by-step framework, leaders can hit the brakes on panic and actually transform raw, unhelpful anxiety into highly focused execution.
Over time, practicing this framework leads to a really profound mindset shift. You begin to view rapid changes and massive obstacles not as unfair punishments, but actually as brand new opportunities to pivot. You learn to maintain a healthy emotional distance from immediate outcomes, resting easy knowing you put your absolute best effort into the controllable parts. And honestly, most importantly, you lead your team with steady clarity, not sudden reactivity. Integrating these principles ensures that no matter what unpredictability the market throws at you, you remain anchored. Trust me, your team will notice it, and they will feed off that calm, collected energy.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to take a really hard look at your own professional life. Because the reality is, the empire, your company, your industry, the global market, it will always face chaos. There will always be a new crisis, a new competitor, a new unexpected hurdle jumping out at you. That is the one thing we can absolutely guarantee. So I'm going to leave you with this one vital, enduring question. Are you ruling your mind, or is the chaos ruling you? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I challenge you to put the Emperor's Playbook to the test today.